I'm making friends in Poland. I'm going to their Facebook pages, and some of them don't even show their face. It's Facebook. And I think it's also the soberness in words, like things like amazing and fantastic are kind of looked at as like too much. And I'm like, okay, I don't miss the nervousness of walking outside. I don't miss the uneasiness of someone maybe pulling up in a truck and saying, hey, what are you doing here? Or walking into the wrong neighborhood. One time there was ice cream that was on sale. It was clearly on sale. I told them, like, there's a sign back there that says this ice cream is on sale, but it's not checking out. They're like, it's not on sale. It's like, but the sign says, and they went, no, it's not on sale. So I went back there and got the sign. And it's like, but it says it's on sale. So they just took the ice cream and put it back.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Dating Beyond Borders podcast. Today I'm chatting with Edward. If you've seen my Polish series on YouTube or socials, you might remember him as the funny outspoken American with strong takes on life in Poland. So today we're going even deeper. Edward's been living in Poland for almost 3 years, and he's here to spill it all, from the good to the bad to the straight up, what am I doing here moments. And we'll talk not just about life as an American abroad, but also what it's like being an African American in a country that isn't always the most open to outsiders. So let's get into it. Edward, good to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I am actually really interested to talk to you about your experiences. So for anyone that doesn't know, Edward actually helped me film the Polish series. And so he came out for the day, and he also took part in the videos. And so we chatted just a little bit about your experiences. But I think the one question that's been really, really interesting for me is, why Poland? I ask this question, by the way, to everyone that I interview. I mean, because sometimes it makes sense, but sometimes you think, why did this person decide to go to this specific country? And that's the case with you. So tell me about it.
Well, the thing is, I wanted to go to Japan or live in Japan since I was a kid, like very, very small. And all the preparation I had done from elementary school to high school to college was in preparation for going to Japan. I learned the language, I learned the culture. I was really, really I was dead set on headed that way. And at one point I actually got to travel there, and I was, so I was so amazed at the culture that I wanted to stay. So when I returned to America, my preparation was, I'm moving to Japan. I'm going to move and live in Japan. So when I graduated May 7th, and I was getting ready to go get my tickets to go to Japan, May 7th, 2020. May 8th, 2020, Japan announced that their borders are closed. I'm like, all right, well, all right, sure. I'll just double down. I'll increase my studies, and I'll just wait it out. So during the year of 2020, I'm, doing my meditations, doing my study. Everything's in Japanese, my phone, my computer, video games, books, everything, because we're not leaving the house. So I made my little house, my little space, little Japan, right? Little Tokyo, little Yamanashi, wherever. So 2021 rolls around, and I'm using this app called Interpals. Shout out to Interpals. I'm using this app to communicate with people in Japanese to practice my language skills. I'm like, yeah, you send a message, you go back and forth, and you chat in Japanese or teach somebody English, however. And I was getting really frustrated with the app at this point. Talking to people wasn't working because I'm not really a message person. I don't like messaging. I don't like texting. I don't like emailing. Hate it. I like to see face to face. I like to be in the action, be there with a person. So I was getting ready to delete the app. Now, the thing about Interpals, very interesting thing, is you can choose the countries, the people you want to talk to. You can choose, by the flag. I blame the American education system. I selected all the flags that match the Asian countries that I wanted to talk to. So I'm getting frustrated with that. I'm getting ready to delete the app. And I get a message. But when it gives you the message, it says message from country, right? It says message from, it had the flag for what I thought was Indonesia, but it said message from Poland. I'm like, Poland? Who's messaging me from Poland? So I go to look, and, it's a really warm message. Hey, Ed, I hope that, the new year is treating you well. You seem like a really cool guy. Be, nice to chat. Okay. So just, playing around, I message her back and, we go back and forth and back and forth. And then we move it to WhatsApp. So this Polish lady, she's like, well, this is probably a waste of time. We'll never meet. I'm like, what do you mean? You're just up the street. We can get a plane. We can go. We can meet somewhere. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah. So we meet in Istanbul, Turkey, after working out what places were open. I thought that Croatia would be a good place, but Croatia closed, and we ended up landing in Istanbul. We stayed. It was supposed to be just like a couple weeks. A couple weeks turned into a couple months, and a couple months turned into, hey, why don't we do this long term? So I was like, yeah. So I went with her to Poland. We went through Malta. And then from after a little bit of time spending in Malta, I went to Poland, met family, kind of got to looking around, and I was like, okay, this isn't bad. So yeah, I mean, initially the only thing I knew about Poland was that it was involved somehow in World War II. Polar bears don't live here. It is cold. And yes, it's a pretty large chunk of Central Europe. That's all I knew. Like, um, I never really had plans. I didn't know anything about the language. I thought they spoke like, I don't know, actually. I didn't know what language they spoke, but yeah, I didn't know much other than, pierogi. But I always thought pierogies were Russian, to be honest. So again, my ignorance surrounding the place was about to be blown wide open from there. But yeah, I'm here because my wife is here. We fell in love over the internet, and this is where she resides.
Wow. So yeah, when you were talking about the flags and you said that you had added all the Asian flags and you said that you added the flags that looked Asian, I was like, I knew he was going to say Indonesia because the flags are so similar, just like vice versa in terms of the colors. And absolutely I didn't know this story. How is it that you never told me this story before? Because that is a crazy story. Like the only reason you're in Poland is because you mixed up the flags essentially, right?
Yeah. So my ignorance led to my blessing, I guess. Ignorance is bliss. That's what they say. So
Yeah, what a great beginning because you're like, I was obsessed with Japan, everything Japanese. I wanted to live in Japan, and somehow, by this weird stroke of luck, I ended up in Poland. I think you also have to be a certain type of person to say, you know what, let me just roll with it. Like, this isn't what I had initially thought of, but I met this great girl. Let's make it work. I have a question for you though, because when you started messaging with your now wife, she had suggested that, or you had suggested that you meet in Istanbul. At this time, were you still in the U.S.?
yeah. So at this time, I was still in Memphis, Tennessee, in my little apartment.
I really love that because you said, yeah, it's not a problem. Let's just meet somewhere. Like, as if you were in the same country, as if you're flying to New York. You basically flew across the world for this girl.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I've gotten in trouble about the with this recently. We have this saying, yeah, it's just up the street. And it's came from my granddad because when I first moved to Memphis, because I'm not actually from Memphis, I'm from a smaller town, but nobody knows where that is. People know Memphis, Nashville. Okay. So I moved to Memphis and I'm calling my granddad to meet up with him. He's like, oh, yeah, grandson, I'm just up the street. Now, where I'm from, just up the street. That's like 5 minutes. You can look out your window and see it. So I get on this just up the street and start driving, and it takes me 30 minutes to get to him. I'm like, yo, granddaddy, this is not this is not just up the street. It took me 30 minutes to get here. He's like, did you get lost? Like, no. Was it a hassle for you to get here? No. Then it was just up the street. So it's like just up the street just means it's no hassle. It's no problem. I'm willing to, make up that difference or do whatever it takes to make that happen. So yeah, she was just up the street.
I think that's so romantic. I think it's funny when you talk to people, you will talk to people in a city like LA and they'll say, yeah, she lives in West Hollywood. I live in whatever, another part of LA. It's just too difficult logistically. And then there is someone like you that says, oh yeah, it's just up the street. Let's go, let's fly 10 hours just to meet each other. And I think that's refreshingly romantic these days. But you are from Memphis or you have lived in Memphis most of your life. Is it, in my opinion, I don't feel like it's very common for locals in Memphis to just take off or to even really understand where where Poland is, or where like different cities in Europe. I think in the US and in a lot of parts of the US, people don't really travel that much. They don't get out that much, right? So why is it that you had this curiosity for other cultures?
Yeah, I think it's people get caught up in, I guess we'll get to to the answer to that part of the question later, but in America, people are focused on a different thing. And because in the States, we're so focused on money, we think everything costs money. So the more effort you have to do, or the more effort you supposedly have to put in something, supposedly, the more money it costs. So it's like going to another country is astronomical. That's too much. I have to learn a new language. I have to get prepared for different food. I've got to, and everything is going to be new and beautiful, and that must cost a lot of money. It's and the thing is, there are people I know who have 22 or maybe 30 pairs of Jordans. Jordans cost $200 to $300. You just like you got a ticket like in your closet. You have a whole ticket. You're not wearing all these shoes. You're just collecting them so you can sell them. You got a plane ticket in your closet. But if you're spending that type of money, you spend 200 on a passport, and then you spend 1,000 on a ticket to anywhere. And when you get there, your money exchanges. And I try to explain that it's not as expensive as people think. But to my personal curiosity, I've always been curious about going different places. I used to look at the atlas at 2 years old, and I know it was two because I was going back through the memory. And it's like, yeah, I was 2 years old, sitting in the living room, just flipping through the atlas, and I want to go there. And my parents would laugh, like, "Oh, that's cute. He's a baby. He didn't know." And I want to go there, and I want to go there, and I'm gonna go there, and I'm gonna go there. And actually, a lot of the places that I pointed out in that atlas, I've actually been to at this point. Um, and my mom really encouraged a lot of different cultures in terms of food. We were always trying something new. I was eating sushi at 11, and we had cheesecake in a small town. People thought that cheesecake in this small town of Columbia, the kids that I was around thought that cheesecake was like American slices stacked up on each other and just cut. It's like, no, that's not cheesecake at all. It's like some kind of sour white cheese, and you mix it with some sugar or something. I don't know the exact recipe, but I know it's not American cheese. And they're like, oh no, that's too fancy. Edward's bougie. That's what I hear. Even yeah, I hear that from a lot of people. Oh, Edward's so bougie because he's always trying to do the most, or he's always trying to do the best or something. So yeah, my mom was a big influence on us wanting to explore different cultures. My dad was in the army. He traveled to places like South Korea, Germany, some other places here in Europe, actually. And, he always told us the stories of the things he was doing when he was overseas. My mom never went overseas, but, she always interested in different languages, different forms of cooking, different arts. And so we're just it's like, I want to see that in person. It's like, it's okay to have this imitation, but I want to see the real deal. I want to go where they make that to see why they make that like that.
Hey everyone, just a quick note to say that while I love putting these podcasts together each week, they do take a ton of time and effort. So if you're enjoying the show, please make sure to follow on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you're tuning in, and give this podcast a 5-star rating to help it grow. This support really helps me keep improving the show's quality. Thank you, and back to the episode. There's a stereotype that a lot of Americans don't have passports, and there's obviously truth to it because I think I've actually looked up the statistics. I think it's over 50%, it looks like. Has that been true in your experience with people that you knew in the US, that they didn't have passports? Or, as you said, priorities are also kind of different in terms of, like, I'd rather get shoes than I travel abroad. And when did you get a passport yourself, actually?
So there's 6 people in my family. There's my dad, my mom, my brother, and my 2 sisters. And out of all 6 of us, only me and my 2 sisters have passports. So 50%. I didn't get my passport until 2017, actually. I didn't know that I would need it, to be honest. I thought you just hop in a plane and go go somewhere. But again, I thought, well, I have to have a lot of money to make this happen. Like, it's going to cost thousands of dollars. And I looked up like tickets to like Africa before I even was thinking about going to Japan. It's like, well, maybe Africa's cheaper. And it's actually Africa's more expensive. So it's like, well, I don't have this type of money. At the time, I was working at Walmart making $500. So I didn't look into a passport until I had the money. When I had enough money, then I realized I could have got a passport years ago. Yeah, but I got my passport 2017. Yeah, and then I went to Japan 2017, and then the Philippines, and then Korea, and then China. But yeah.
So, you arrived to Poland. Obviously, you've traveled a bit up until then. You haven't really done a lot of Europe. It looks like you've done mostly Asia, right? So you get to Poland, which is already quite an interesting place, even if you have traveled, because it's quite different, right? Like, it's not like going to, I don't know, Spain or Italy. We know so much about these countries, but Poland is quite distinct. What were your experiences like? Not only as an American, but let's like even an African American. And actually, the first question, let me ask you, is did you get any special attention or did you get any weird attention? As in, oh, he's very different from us and we're going to treat him differently.
Mm. So my very first moments, my first few days in Poland, I noticed staring, which is normal when I'm traveling. Even in Asia, people stare. But when you look back, people look away. In Poland, they don't look away. And that's kind of unsettling. So, yeah, that kind of made me nervous at first. It's like, am I doing something wrong? Is there something on my face? Like, are you trying to, you trying to do a little something extra? What's happening here? Why are you still staring? It's impolite. Um, so yeah, that was like the first special attention. But other than that, like everybody's really either really accommodating or really just don't care. Like I go to restaurants, there's people who are extremely accommodating to, or were extremely accommodating, providing English menu, trying to speak their best English, even though I was trying to speak my best Polish. It's like, yeah, it didn't feel harsh. It didn't feel grating. It didn't feel like, I don't know, like I didn't belong, but it didn't feel like they were rolling out the red carpet in terms of certain areas. But then with my extended family here, through my in-laws, I don't really like that term because they're really great. They rolled out the red carpet, and that was something even, in the South, the American South. We have Southern hospitality. The hospitality that my extended family has shown is it puts all of that to shame. Like I feel very, very meager and very small in comparison to the efforts that they put forward to make me feel at home, to make me feel comfortable, and to kind of shy away from maybe the other things that people hear about Poland, especially towards foreigners, especially towards Black foreigners like that.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think probably a lot of Black people would be nervous about traveling to this part of Europe because they think, well, probably there's is going to be racist or we're going to get treated badly, right? And so your experience has been either average or and average could be only also because just it's average for everybody. Like there's no such thing as customer service in Europe, at least not to the extent we know it, you know? I mean, even right now I'm in Spain and I'm astounded and I've been in Europe a gazillion times and I'm still astounded at the difference in how people walk around each other in the store because in Canada if you're trying to pass someone you'll say sorry, excuse me. Here people just walk. Like there is no one around me. It's just me in my own special bubble.
Yeah, and not only that, they'll walk and they'll hit you, and it's like nothing. It's like you don't even exist. Oh, that was just a bag of chips or something. I didn't know that was happening in Spain too. I thought that was something very unique to Poland. When I went to Denmark, I didn't have that problem, and even in Sicily, I didn't have that problem. But yeah, let's see. Okay, so Spain, they do the same thing. Gotcha.
Yeah, I was quite surprised to be very honest because, and I've been here many, many times, but what I've come to kind of understand, and maybe I would love to hear your thoughts on it, is I talk a lot about this, but we're so used to customer service in the US and Canada. And I would love to hear your thoughts now on customer service in the US and as it compares to Poland, because there's good and there's bad, right? Obviously, the tipping culture is a bit annoying because it can be a little bit too much. At the same time, you're kind of used to a certain way of being treated, and it's always great. It's never going to be good or bad depending on how someone's feeling that day or if they had their cup of coffee. Whereas I can assume in Poland, because I've had very different experiences, depending on the people, either incredibly good or incredibly bad. So, my question to you is, what has your experience been like with customer service? And now, do you feel like you miss the American customer service, or are you like, you know what? I've come to kind of enjoy Poland in that sense.
I'm sorry, but when it comes to customer service, America's number one. It's just going. That's just the way that's going to be. Mainly because there is a high desire to sell and keep business and keep you consuming, right? Here, and it's still hit or miss. There's moments when there's like it's really great, and even for me, even the moments that are like not that good, I'll just like brush off as that's just the way things are here. But my wife, she'll get like thoroughly upset. Like, no, this is not the way things should be. They should do better. They should try better. You know, like I'm here to provide you a service. Why you treat me like this? Which, yeah, but I don't know what I can do about it. If they're having a bad day, they're having a bad day, and it's there's no threat of getting fired, right? There's no threat of getting laid off. That's kind of the thing of having security in your job. Like, oh, I can just be me or whatever. But we can get to that part later. But yeah, when it comes to customer service here, they could learn something from the States. They could learn something from Canada in terms of even just some keywords to say, like, yeah, thank you for taking the time. We'll see you next time. Or, just putting little extra notes in there. Oh, you come for your anniversary. We appreciate it's like some of those things just to completely miss that extra touch. Um, yeah, and I think it's also the soberness in words, like things like amazing and fantastic are kind of looked at as like too much. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's fake, isn't it? It's considered fake.
Yeah, it's like that's not fake. That's just what it is. It's just how we use the words. It's got a certain taste to it. We put it on there to, give you a certain feel about it. It's not necessarily that we don't think it's fantastic or amazing, but it's like to them amazing means like it's, Jesus Christ has returned in the flesh. I'm like, okay, that would be miraculous. And I didn't say that, right? That's a different English word. But again, I think I don't know if I said this in the last interview that we did, but we may all speak English, but we don't all speak the same English.
I think that's a really great point. It's interesting, and isn't it? Because you're right. Like there is kind of a fakeness, superficiality associated with Americans being over the top excited about things, but Americans are actually excited, and there's almost like a childlike wonder, a golden retriever energy that Americans have. And when I see Americans abroad, I love them. Because they're so happy, they're so positive, and you miss that sometimes because a lot of these European countries, especially when it comes to Eastern Central Europe, are quite realistic. They like to call it because okay, we've been through so many wars, and life is tough, life is rough. Let's all complain. And they call this realistic, and I don't know why that has to be realistic, and being excited isn't realistic, right?
Yeah. So that's I relate so much to Polish culture, reading, learning about the history, understanding that there was a type of slavery here between Russia and Germany that was, really harsh in itself. Again, being treated like second class citizens in your own home, right? Being pushed out off the map for a certain number of decades, right? Not even being able to embrace your culture, to embrace yourself, because you don't exist on the map. You know, two world wars, all these things. And then if you look again, Black American history, we have slavery, right? We have the civil rights that we have to fight for. We have this constant battle with, the CIA, government, all these little things that have happened to Black people over time. And yet we have a different sense of what is reality or realism. We can still express that same joy and excitement for things while keeping in mind the stuff that we went through, right? And it's like on the other end, it's like there's this massive burden. Life is just, at any moment could give us terrible. And it's like, yeah, at any moment life could give us terrible, but look at how far we've come. Look at all the stuff we did. We beat it once. We'll beat it again. We don't die, we multiply. And it's like, That's one of the things me and my wife go back and forth about. It's like, it's not, I'm not being unrealistic. It's just that what is real isn't negative or positive. What is real is, this is just a bracelet. Is it a beautiful bracelet? That's my thought. Is it an expensive bracelet? That's your thought. But what's real is it's just a bracelet. Like, that's it.
Mm. Yeah, life is what you make it. It's what you it's the meaning that you give to the situation, right? It's how you react to the situation. And so I also agree that there's no realistic life. Life can be hard, but you can still be a very excited person. And I mean, of course, we know that like Americans are more of a peach culture and Polish are more of a coconut culture. Have you kind of experienced that with people when you kind of feel like, oh, they're very rough on the outside and they're softer on the inside? Or has it just been rough?
It has definitely been rough. I, so growing up, we had this. I think it was a quote from Benjamin Franklin: "Friends should be like books, few and well chosen." So even back home, I just had very small circle, close knit people. Here, it's hard to even get one book. Like it's hard to even get just one part. Like you may have great energy or great chemistry with somebody, and you speaking with them on something, and then that stays right there, or trying to get deeper. Like I don't know, certain things that I share, people consider extremely personal. It's like no, you could ask anybody and find that out. You can go to my Facebook page and find that information. It's not that personal. But then I'm making friends in Poland. I'm going to their Facebook pages, and some of them don't even show their face. It's Facebook. Like they'll have their back to the camera, or they'll only show like from the. It's like extremely private. There'll be no birthdays. There's like no special moments. It's just really curated to be extremely private. And I'm like, but and you can't even see if you're not even friends with them. And then when you are friends with them, what you see is the back of their head. And so it's kind of like that in person. It's like, you want to see their face, you want to see who they are, but they keep turning it around. I don't know. Maybe it's just too much. Maybe it's too much pressure.
So what you're saying is that people have a really hard time opening up to other people, and if you are maybe very personal with them, they think you're oversharing, and that scares them, that overwhelms them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'd say so. But it's like, certain things like, okay, yeah, I'm going to see my mom this weekend. That might be considered too much information. It's like, okay, well, what did you do last weekend? Oh, I did a little of this, a little of that. Okay, but like what? At work, I kind of gauge who is closer to me by how much information they give me about what they did over the weekend. And, I do have a friend at work who we also meet up outside of work. If I ask him how his weekend is, every detail from when he woke up, what he ate for breakfast on Saturday to what he had for dinner on Sunday, like everything in between. And then there's other people who, we have chemistry at work, but it's like, oh yeah, I did some things, did some chores. Yeah. Just kind of enjoyed the day, enjoyed my Sunday, enjoyed my Saturday. And that's it. But then I've met them outside of work in other places and it's the same. So I'm not sure. Like it's very hard to like connect. And even I have like, so the idea is like, okay, well, meeting people at work is kind of weird, but maybe you meet people outside. So I have several hobbies. Like I play Mafia, I play video games with a certain group. I was doing this event called Story Slam. So we would get up and we tell stories from our past on stage. And there'd be people who would come regularly to these events. And they only existed in those events. Like after that event was over, they disappeared. I've been playing Mafia since I met you. I met somebody in the like filming who was like, yeah, we play Mafia. I was like, okay, cool. Um, and they only exist when we play Mafia. We don't do anything outside of that. So yeah, I mean, that's been kind of difficult because in America, like you meet somebody once, especially in the South, you meet somebody once and you see them in public and you don't say hello or you don't wave back, oh, that's a problem. Here I've seen people who I've seen like several times over. Like I just see them on the train or I've seen them because we've interacted in other ways. I say hello to them on the train.
Wow.
I'm like, what? Okay, well, it's like it's. I don't really take it personal. I just assume that's just the way things are here. Because when I go and I see those people in the boxes that they're in, then they interact. It's just interesting. When we were in Istanbul, there's this cat that used to come to our window, and we would pet the cat and feed the cat and interact with the cat, and it was so loving in the window. But when we were walking outside and we'd see the cat would like, "Who are you?" and run away. But once we got inside, the cat was right back there in that box. So it's like maybe I don't know if it's maybe so much coconut culture. Maybe it's just like they're cat people. They can only interact within the box of that habit of that the things that they do.
So what you're saying is Polish people, when they need something, like they want to eat, they come to you. They brush against your leg.
Well, no, not like so much like when they need something, but it's like that's the zone of comfort. They interact with you within their zone of comfort.
Yeah, I get it. I think that's going to go in the thumbnail for YouTube. Polish people are like cats. And Americans are like dogs, friendly,
Yeah.
super happy, messy. And that's what I'm saying is like Americans are, oh God, a cat just appeared behind you. That scared me. Right on time as we talked about the cats, the Polish cat. Yeah, that's what I mean is Americans have really the golden retriever energy, and a lot of countries probably have that more cat energy, right? And so, have you found that it's also maybe hard for you to make friends because you don't speak Polish or you're not Polish, or is it just the way they are with each other as well?
I think it's more so. It's probably more so the my inability to engage. To be honest, like I don't have that heavy of a language skill. Everyone who I speak with, they speak English to me, but it's more comfortable to speak the language that is native to you, right? So, it's a lot of going back and forth. So I just allow people to speak. Or I don't allow. How am I going to allow them? This is a house. I don't pressure anyone to speak English around me like that. Like I don't try to mandate or demand anything. If people want to speak Polish, I'm in your house. I should know Polish enough to be able to engage. And if I can't, then I fall out. But yeah, they say most of the time they're just complaining. So
I heard that. So your wife is Polish, right? Obviously, she has some friends. When you're with her friends, if you are, do they then kind of switch back to Polish and talk within themselves, or do they include you a little bit?
it depends on which friend is which. Because some feel more comfortable speaking English, or some feel more comfortable speaking Polish, but some have great English, so they don't mind. But yeah, when they are speaking Polish, they do stop to try and translate, which isn't often necessary because I can pick up enough to understand the context of, oh, they're talking about something at work. And if they were speaking English about something at work, I'm not really paying that much attention anyway. So, I'm just listening more closely to get the context and kind of pick up words that I can use later. Um,
Do you ever feel like I guess like Sofia Vergara said, I'm so much smarter in Spanish. Like, do you ever feel like, God, I wish there were Americans around here so we can, and even if they speak English perfectly, you don't have those kind of same references to things that you have with Americans growing up, right? So, do you ever feel that a little bit of that nostalgia for, you know, having people from your own country, really?
a little bit. You know, Yeah, I'd say so. Having something like that here, I feel like it would be nice, but I also have kind of tried to stray away from it because I don't want to have that crutch. Um, if the thing is, I came here because I wanted to do things differently. I wanted to expand my life in a different way, which is why I wanted to go to Japan. So it's like, well, I'll apply that here, right? I should be doing that everywhere. And so I do know that there's a lot of habits, there's a lot of things that even me as an American, I was doing or holding on to that, if I get around people who encourage that, they're just enabling bad behavior. But yeah, there's like certain things I do miss, but for that, I have my family, right? They'll give me the pure version of what's happening. And then, yeah, there's always the news, if anything else.
let's talk about hospitality because you come from the land, that region of the US that is famous for its hospitality, right? So, Polish people, I've heard good things about hospitality in Poland, but in your genuine, honest opinion, how does hospitality differ between the two countries?
Well, see, we are from the South, right? Antebellum days, and the sweet gentlemen and the lovely ladies that would go about and do their things, on the plantations and whatnot. So, because of that, there's a certain air of nobility amongst those who are Southerners.
I love that accent.
So, yeah, in the South, there's like I don't know, there's like this, I'd say, butler mentality about how you do things, but also there's this freedom. So I really don't want to have to dig that far because it's kind of a touchy subject, but I'll go there. Uh, there used to be a time when black people only could enter through the back door, right? Uh, you weren't allowed to have certain things. You can't do certain things. Blase, blase. But with the disillusion or, that kind of thing breaking down, hospitality became you can have whatever you want in my house, right? My house is your house. You come in, my fridge, that's your fridge. My bed, that's your bed, like that. And so you have a friend over, them being able to go to the refrigerator freely for us, that's, you know, that's a great honor, right? If I'm bringing you a drink, that means I don't trust you. If I'm bringing you a plate, that means I don't trust you. If you can go and get it, that's an honor. But here it's not that way. It's that if you have to make an effort, like you shouldn't have to make any effort, right? I never thought of it that way. I come here, the first thing, oh, hey baby, here's some water. What? I was gonna get it myself. Like, no, here's some water. I made you dinner. I did this. I cleaned the this and I did the that. And I'm like, yo, that's like for me that's too much. But it's like, it's treating me like a king. Like, you don't have to make any effort. That is their idea of hospitality. And for us, it's a matter of how much we trust you to be able to do your own thing and know you won't steal from us. How much we trust you to, come and go as you please without causing any harm. Right. Because that's kind of the thing with racism, right? I don't trust them because them people steal and those people do that, or they don't season their food or whatever. There's all this contention about how people connect. And, if you allow someone to fully just come in and do whatever, that's for us is hospitality. I don't know.
When you're talking about someone bringing you the drink or the food, are you referring to just going to anyone's house, or is it mostly like your wife doing her wife duties?
That is anybody's house. I was visiting a friend. Oh, sorry. I do have other friends here, but I have a friend who's from Canada who's Polish. And so I was visiting them, and his wife made me a glass of water. I was really thirsty, so I drank the water, and I was looking for the carafe to pour more water. And I turn around, and she's got me another glass of water. I'm okay, thank you. So I drink that one again rather swiftly, and I just turn around for a second, 5 seconds, to look at the dog running in the hallway, and I turn around, and she's got another carafe of water. I mean, another glass of water. I'm like, no, thank you. I was gonna pour it myself. She's like, no, 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 no. You should never be thirsty. I'm like, okay, thank you. Or even when I go to my in-laws, before I get there, ooh, what meal does Eddie want before he comes? And then my mom-in-law will make like 1,000 of them. Whatever it is, she'll make like so much of it that we have to pack it in a box and bring it home.
Interesting. So it's a very different kind of notion of hospitality. Both are hospitable, but in very different ways, basically.
Yeah.
What other culture shocks have you experienced in Poland, if any? I guess the communication is a big one. We've talked about that. Hospitality, customer service. Was there anything else that was really difficult to get used to?
Mm, so difficult to get used to. I think we talked about people walking all over the place. that annoys me to this day. I'm sorry. That like you see me coming, man.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that because I think there's a kind of consideration that we have in North America for other people. That's the way I see it. People might argue with me on that, but we're hyper aware of other people in our space that we don't want to inconvenience each other. And I think that's a very Anglo thing. It's not just US or Canada, but it's also the UK, New Zealand, Australia, maybe less or more. But a friend was telling me a story about what happened here in Spain, and I want to hear yours about Poland, where it was like she's American, her British friend, and an Australian friend, Anglos, trying to, they're walking by and there's like a pot, there's like a hole in the ground. And so they're kind of like, there's a Spanish group of people coming their way, and they tell the Spanish group of people, like, do you guys want to, do you want to go first? And the Spanish people just walk. Like they don't even say excuse me, sorry. They don't let them go ahead. They just walk. And so I found that really curious. Even today in the store, I saw a man and a woman, and this little Asian woman, her and the men were going towards the cash register at the same time. And so what usually happens in Canada is the men will say, no, you go ahead. Always, 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 always. I've never seen it done any other way. And this man goes, ha ha ha, I was here first. It just goes in front of this poor little Asian lady. And so I was thinking, even like he was trying to be cute and funny, but for me, that was not very respectful. And I don't know, again, it's a different culture, but respect is respect. And especially letting the lady go ahead, I think it's just the normal thing to do, something that I'm accustomed to. Have you seen something similar in Poland? Is it something like this in Poland? Or how does that play out?
No, no, I don't think that people are. No, I wouldn't say they're that rude at all. There's a couple of stories. We're going to get our cats. We picked our cats up from a little town called Limonova. We're riding the bus back, and there's this guy. I mean, he looks like he's a rough character. He looks like he might have some ties, some mafia ties or something like that. And, he's chatting with me a little bit in Polish, about Tupac and, the general hip hop stuff. And I'm like, I don't know anything about that because I didn't listen to Tupac growing up, and that's the truth. But then this old man comes onto the bus with like these walkers, and he stands up immediately. No, sir, for you can sit here. And he stands up the rest of the way, and we were riding like an hour or so. So I remember that. And so we went to the mountains, me and my wife, and we are coming back, and an old man gets on the thing. And again, without question, I remember his thing. I stand up and let him, take the seat, and we ride an hour back. There was, on the tram, it depends. It's 50-50. When you're getting on the train, old ladies will run you over to get a seat. But there's oftentimes that people will see an old lady first just coming through and immediately stand up and offer. I'm the same. I don't see anybody like pushing, or doing the elderly poorly in order to get their own gain. Like normally it's like if you see an old lady even in the line at Lidl, hey, you can go ahead, because you're going to be standing here for a minute. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I think it's a very Poland, is Central Europe, but still somewhat Eastern European, and so when I was in Hungary, again, very close in mentality in many ways, not in all ways, but I remember I was carrying my luggage up the stairs, and there was this old lady, and she began yelling at one of the young boys. And I don't understand Hungarian. Nobody does, except for Hungarians. But obviously she was saying to him, you have to help the lady. What are you doing? You have to help her. And so there's kind of this thing ingrained in our society, Eastern European, Central European, that you need to help a lady out, or if it's an old person, there needs to be respect for the old person. So I completely see how in Poland that wouldn't be an issue. That there's like this respect to help people still to carry. Men have been carrying my stuff in Poland, like carrying my luggage all the time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think because they look at me, I'm like a girl, so there's an understanding that she's a woman, right? And so they're going to help you carry that. Having said that, I've had very mixed experience in Poland where I've had people yell at me. Um, I've had all sorts of experiences in the matter of 10 days where I was just like, okay, I don't know, just yelling at me in the train because I took the wrong seat. And yeah, so I think I don't know if you've had any experience like that where someone just had a really bad day and they took it out on you.
Yeah, that happens. I try to ignore it. It happens a lot at our favorite grocery store. So you're gonna hear Lidl come up a lot. Again, shout outs to Lidl. I don't know if you can get a sponsorship for that, but yeah, I mean, there's always someone who works there who, it's just too much of a hassle when there's no one else around to help remove one item off the list because I didn't want it or because I noticed that it had, a smudge or something or because I got some sort of wine or something, they need to check my ID, and they'll oh, one time there was ice cream that was on sale. It was clearly on sale, and I told them like, there's a sign back there that says this ice cream is on sale, but it's not checking out. They're like, it's not on sale. It's like, but the sign says. And they went, no, it's not on sale. So I went back there and got the sign, and it's like, but it says it's on sale. So they just took the ice cream and put it back. That was it. They didn't. They just. I was like, you know what? I don't even want it. I went ahead and left. Like,
Wow. So that was taken really, really personally somehow.
yeah, it's like what? It's like it's on sale. Come on, the ice cream is on. Just
Just give me the ice cream, man.
or call someone who can help me. Like, it's like I guess I didn't need it because I have gained a lot of weight since I've been here. So
Yeah, that's really funny that I've definitely had those experiences where it's so personal and people are so impatient, and you're just used to North Americans being like, yeah, for sure, yeah, okay, I can look. Like nothing is ever a problem. It's always something that can be taken care of. Whereas in a lot of countries, you feel like you're really bothering someone just by asking for an extra half a minute from their time, even though it's actually their fault.
right, and they're at work.
You are married to a Polish woman, and this is the Dating Beyond Borders podcast. So, have you experienced any cultural differences with each other? I mean, it could be something as simple as wearing shoes in the house or not, to something maybe a little bit more deep seated.
Mm, yeah, I mean all the time. We're we're rather different in a lot of ways, and I think we've covered a lot of them as far as me being unrealistic or rather overly optimistic or extremely driven to find the answer to a problem despite all the external factors that may affect it.
Going back to this, there's kind of like a resigned mentality, isn't there, when it comes to Polish people just saying, such is life. Is that what it is?
Yeah, for me, yeah, I think so. I think because I would say like, it'd be all right. And it's like, no, no, it won't. It won't be all right. It's like, well, yeah, sure it will. We'll live to do the next steps. But it's like, you're not taking this seriously. It's like, I mean, I am. But if I take it too seriously, I won't be able to focus. Because if I'm too busy sitting here dreading how this is going to work out, then, you know. But then on the other end, there's people who I work with who are also, like, don't worry about it. Let it, just let it burn and you can come back and fix it. And it's something that's like, no, I need to have this done today because the system will crash tomorrow. Like I have to do this now. It's like, no, no, don't worry about it. You got job security. So it's like, there's a, it's really a mix. It's a flip. It's like, well, on one end, when it comes to things that are important to your life, you focus heavily on it. Like, this is serious. This is important. When it's something that you're doing for work or something that you're doing that really is taking you away from your life, then it's like, that's fine. Like that. So at work, everybody's like, that's fine. And that's kind of why customer service ends up lacking because it's taking them away from something else. But then when it comes to things that are focused around yourself, so then it's like, yeah, okay, this is the part where we need to bear down. This is the part where I'm having trouble. This is the part where I need to get serious. This is the part where, no one can make jokes. There's no room for jokes. We have to be serious right now. I'm like, okay, but this is the best time for jokes because, you got to laugh to keep from crying.
Yeah, that's a good point. You mentioned, I remember when we did the interview that and this is a question that I'm not going to answer for you because I want, maybe there's something else that you're going to tell me this time around, but um what are the things that first of all you miss about your life in the States, the mentality, the lifestyle, the food, whatever, and what is something that you definitely do not miss? And I remember you talked about one of the things you don't miss, which is the violence, obviously. But yeah,
So things that I do miss now for sure. I definitely miss the weather in Tennessee. Um, I didn't know I didn't know seasonal depression until going through a winter here. And I do know that this can happen in other parts of the states, but I do miss Tennessee particularly having Celsius 21, 22 in February, 30 in May, 40 in June, and I do miss that. Um, in Fahrenheit, it's like 70 in the springtime, 80 to 90s in the summer. I do miss that. I miss the air quality in Krakow. It's like smoking a cigarette during the winter, especially because they burn coal here, and I guess they don't have like certain regulations on like how to filter the coal. So air quality is kind of strange. I didn't know that this type of thing was happening in other places of the world, especially a place like this, which is really developed, overall. But yeah, the air sometimes it's so bad that it burns to breathe. So yeah, I do miss the air quality of Tennessee specifically, the sweet, sweet mountain and forest air. Trying to think, I miss my family for sure, and I miss nature. So nature, my family, and like the weather. Things I definitely don't miss. Again, waking up or not waking up, but getting ready to go to bed and knowing that it's 9:45 because I hear somebody clearing their gun in the backyard to keep the property value down. It's a bit much for me. Like I could, you could like clockwork. You knew someone's going to start shooting around this time just for the fun of it. I don't miss hearing on the news every 5 minutes that somebody has died. I also don't miss hearing on the news every 5 minutes that someone has died so close to me that I could go out and see the chalk line. I don't like that. Um, I don't miss being nervous when walking on the street at night. Because the thing is I like to wake up and sometimes if I can't sleep, I go on a walk outside and there's this uneasiness you get that something might happen. You might run into somebody crazy on the street. And I'm not saying there's not crazy people out here, but things I wouldn't have to worry about crazy people doing is shooting me. If anything, we can just scrap it out and, we can go about our way, go about our business. Um, yeah, like anywhere where I see people rollerblading and walking their dogs and jogging, I know that that's safe. And pretty much everywhere I've been in this city, that happens. So it's like I feel at ease because everybody else feels at ease enough to be comfortable. I see women walking around at 2 and 3 in the morning, just, unbothered. If they feel safe enough to walk outside, that's a place I can be. Like I don't miss the nervousness of walking outside. I don't miss the uneasiness of someone maybe pulling up in a truck and saying, "Hey, what are you doing here?" or walking into the wrong neighborhood or walking into the wrong backwoods or accidentally trespassing on somebody's yard because that could lead to something messy. Like I don't like that uncertainty of dealing with people at certain times of day, at certain times of their life in the States because people are they're itching, they're tense, they're ready to pop.
God, I didn't know it was so bad in Tennessee. I actually had no idea.
So I mean, in Memphis, certain parts, yes. In the very, very backwoods parts that are mostly Republican, don't want to pull political affiliation, but mostly conservative. Yeah, it can be pretty tense because I've lived in both. I've lived in a small town where I've been called many things, and things have happened to other people, that yeah, I just don't want to be mixed up with it.
Yeah, that looked like you basically, is what you're saying. Yeah. So there's a lot of discrimination, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's very, very odd because there's so much of it there that when people point it out to me here, I don't even recognize that that it's discrimination here. Like, it's like, oh, that's your racism? Oh, okay.
You're like, they looked at me weird. Who cares?
Right.
And you don't know either, right? Because sometimes someone can just look at you weird and it has nothing to do with race. It's just that they're in a bad mood, and that's
Or
it.
the sun is in their eyes. That's my thing. I'm always walking like this, and my wife is looking like, "Why are you walking like that?" It's like the sun's in my eyes. So I'm like imagining someone's looking at me, and they're like, they see this, and it's like, "Oh wow, he must be aggressive."
I think it's important for people not to make everything about race when it's not. And obviously, when it is, then you know it, right? Sometimes the person could just be a really shitty person, and that's kind of the end of it, right? Or curious about where you come from without it being somehow. I think that can also be a really positive thing if someone's like, "Oh, tell me more about where you're from," or where you know. I think that could be a positive thing unless it's done in a way that's obviously discrimination. But then I think you can tell. I think then you can tell. Yeah, and I think you've seen the worst of it. So now yeah. How has living in Poland changed you as a person? I feel like I've asked you this question, but tell me again.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, I think I've slowed down a lot on how articulate I tend to be. Right. Sometimes I throw the whole dictionary at people when I'm speaking in people in the States, but because of the difference in language, like not even just people who are Polish are here. I work with people from Spain. I work with people from Ukraine, from Russia, coming from different parts of Africa. And so it's like I've had to dial back the way I talk so that people understand. Because of that, a lot of words that I use, like amazing and fantastic, have gone out of the window to make sure that things are sober and that I'm not painting a picture that can be misinterpreted or that would set somebody up for let down or set somebody up for even failure in their own personal endeavors. So yeah, that I've gained a lot of weight. When I was in the States, I used to eat a certain way to try and avoid, certain foods, try to avoid GMO and all that stuff. So because of that, I was taking in less calories. So I was, a little slimmer. Here, the quality of food is the quality of butter and milk. I thought I was allergic to butter and milk. The quality here, I don't have the breakouts or any of the heavy feeling or anything. So, I'm just eating butter by the brick, just you know.
Because yeah, when you said you gained weight, I thought, well, isn't that what everyone says is when you go to Europe, you lose weight, right? Yeah, the States is where you gain weight and you get all sorts of, gluten free, like you start getting allergies and you bloat and stuff. So, but now that you've explained it, it all makes sense. You talked about working in Poland as well. Have you noticed anything interesting about the kind of Polish working culture?
Yeah. And so I think in the United States, business and the way that we do a lot of things are actually influenced heavily by the military. So we have, you know, in the best companies, I think, very organized ways of, uh, you know, stepping people into things, hiring people, putting people on, moving people through the business, that sort of thing. And maybe it's just that I picked the wrong company. I don't know. I've only worked at one company since I've been here. We won't name any names, but this particular department struggles with that sort of organization. And oftentimes it feels like when I walk into a store and everybody's just kind of walking without acknowledging people passing. Everyone's in their own little bubble, just doing their own little thing without any acknowledgement to how what they're doing is going to affect the store and the people around them at that time. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I can't say that I actually have enough experience because I speak to other people who work in Poland and who've worked in the States and they have all companies are the same. So maybe I just had really good luck when I was working in the States, minus one or two places. But I've had pretty good luck when working in the States versus working here.
Hmm. Interesting. Do you see yourself staying in Poland or not?
For now, yes, I'd say it's okay. It's fine. I'd like to be somewhere warmer, but right now, I think my main thing is to try and travel more. So wherever we can be, that would allow me and Kasha, that's my wife, me and Kasha to travel more and see more, then we can make a decision whether it's Poland or whether it's Rwanda or, Japan or South America, somewhere in South America like that. Yeah, right now it's a lot of uncertainty, especially with the political climate, with us being very close to the situation in Russia and Ukraine. And then on the other end, there's a lot of things happening with immigration and happening with people who are visiting the States, coming from Europe, etc. So I don't know if we don't know. It's just let's travel around and see what we can do before we plant our roots because everything around us is unstable at the moment.
What advice would you give to a foreigner, or maybe like an American, or even maybe an African American that is planning to move to Poland?
Oh yeah, don't do that. Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely recommend if you're thinking about coming to Poland. I don't have I don't have anything negative to say about coming to visit, expanding your horizons, expanding your knowledge, all of that. I welcome all of that, and I would say come with open mind and open heart, and trying to recognize try to recognize how it all relates. And I say all relates because my reason for traveling is to kind of understand what is it about America? What is it that's happening in America? Is this something that's unique to us, or is this something that's happening all over? And so it's like, you don't want to be a victim. It's not that you are being targeted specifically, it's that everybody's being targeted somehow, and understanding what the big string is rather than trying to cut away the little strings that are pulling on people to make them, choose to vote for one person or to choose to, like one picture versus, to basically put each other against each other, right? In a homogenous place like Poland, you get to clear that because you get to see what it would be like if it was just one type of people, right? And how you interact with that one type of people and how those one type of people deal with their problems being one type of people. In America, it's a hodgepodge. Everybody is integrated. So it's really easy to stir up confusion. It's really easy to say, oh, it's the Koreans, oh, it's the Chinese, oh, it's the Japanese, oh, it's the blacks, oh, it's the Mexicans, oh, it's the whites. It's really easy to say that and not see it because you don't know where they come from. You don't know how they operate. All you know is what you see right now and what's being told to you on the news. So you're really grasping. I recommend if anybody is in the States to leave and see somewhere else and not to a luxury hotel, not to some, that's cool to relax and do that, but actually go and see people and see what they're doing outside of the United States because we're not the center of the world. We're not the center of anything. So yeah, highly recommend make the move, make the shift.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's such a great point because so many Americans travel to all inclusives or Cancun or, these places where you don't really get to see how people live.
Mm.
And I think it would really help if they travel to outside of those places to actually get a that because those people are very different as well. I meet a lot of Americans abroad, and you really see a huge difference between how these people think and how a lot of the people that are back in the US still think. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I mean, I think it's important to understand the world, right? And understand, like, it's like if you go to high school and you never leave high school, you think, oh, this is the world, this is how it is. I remember going to high school one day. I went to university just to check it out. Came back to the high school. I was like, oh, this is not the center of the world. It's just the school, but it felt like it in my younger years, right? So I think it's kind of similar to that.
I guess it really depends on what you want to contribute. If you really want to be able to contribute to helping the world, you have to go and see the world. You can't stay in one place and think that you're going to be able to make a difference for the whole place, and maybe people have other ways that they can do it, but I definitely recommend getting out and seeing it. Books can only take you so far. The internet can only take you so far. Going out and having your own experience, going out and tasting it for yourself, seeing it from your lens, getting rid of some of your own bad habits, getting rid of some of your own traumas, or working out those things through personal experience. I think that makes a great difference in how you'll interact with people going forward, how you'll see things that are happening going forward.
Yeah, and you understand so much more about yourself and where you come from when you get to kind of have a comparison for that, you know? Oh, okay, people in Poland are like this. Well, I didn't know that I did this. This is actually not normal around the world. And now I realize that I'm doing it. That's why I love having conversations like these, because if you had been in Memphis still, we wouldn't be having this conversation. You wouldn't have anywhere the same amount of understanding about even where you come from, really. Because now you really have that, point of comparison. And I think the more you know, the deeper conversations go and the more insight you have into who you are. And I think, yeah, I think one of the really great reasons is to travel, not just to travel, but to really spend time and not just do, oh, I'm going to Barcelona to visit the Sagrada Familia and then I'm going here and then I'm going, no, like stay in a place, and not in the most popular place either, ideally, so that you don't just meet travelers, you meet locals. So yeah, I think that's really great advice. And thank you so much, Edward. What a great conversation. What an honest conversation. I really love the honesty. And I think a lot of people will as well. Where can people find you?
Where can people find me? The question is, do I want people to find me? If it does so interest you, you can find me on Instagram at Xofyls. So XOFYLS. I don't really do much but post pictures there. I try to post pictures of things that I see, but lately I've been doing a lot of commercial work and that sort of thing, because that's what I want to do. And so there'll be a lot of pictures of myself there. It's kind of boring. Another place I can be found will be on YouTube, and I have to give you the link for that later because I'm still working on that channel.
No worries. I'm going to link all of that below wherever you're listening or watching, guys. So if, go say hi, or actually even just comment below if you're in Krakow. And I don't know, Edward, if you're looking for new international friends, but might be a really cool way. Anyways, Edward, thank you so much. And guys, thank you so much for listening, for watching. Stay tuned for next week's episode. And Edward, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Bye now.
Hope you all enjoyed the podcast. If you made it all the way through, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you're watching or listening. Your support helps me bring in bigger guests and surprise you with even better episodes. Until next time.